There is a book in Italian which has the title Vattene Satana, taken from this gospel, Begone Satan. It is about the experience of exorcism. These are cases similar to what the Lord has to confront, or rather chooses voluntarily to confront without defense in the desert. Usually, however, the fight with Satan is not overt. However, it is constant. And the more one is engaged with the work of the Lord, the more one draws the attention of the other side. So if that is not the case, and if one is having an easy ride, it's not always a good sign. Here we have the place where this took place. It is the Mount of Temptation, and you may just be able to pick out there the monastery which is still standing on that holy spot to this day. As in Eastern monasteries nothing has changed, so too there the centuries have stood still, and the same ancient prayer rhythms the day, day and night, until day becomes eternity and night becomes rest. It is the case of those of us who are privileged to have that freedom to, as the psalm says, be in a state of stillness and emptiness, to know that God is God. Be still, in Latin vacate, which gives us the word vacation. We are empty, we are en vacances pour Dieu. We are giving God the chance to get through. It is far easier when one is called back, especially by a bell, back to base, because whatever else happens out there, one is still close to the origin, and calling the world there too, especially in the hours of night. Now let's look at what happened in the desert. The Lord gave us the model of these 40 days. It was picked up immediately, for the discipline of Lent goes back to the earliest times. We know about it already when it came to evangelization in the British Isles, because when Augustine of Canterbury landed in 597, he was surprised to find how much Christianity was already there. And he had to confront this question of the king having one date for Easter and therefore Lent, and the queen another. There was the Roman date and the Celtic date. And by the way, I open a parenthesis, right now we need to pray that the Holy Spirit will guide the dialogue going on between Pope Francis and the Patriarch of Moscow, that this may happen again. We know from mystic sources that the Lord has been trying to get through to the pontiffs in recent time to get this adjusted, because he does not want this carrying on indefinitely. It's man-made, this division of Easter, and it's the heart of the Christian year. I'll close the parenthesis. What happened in the desert? Well, the first thing I would draw your attention to is this. If the Lord chose to have this defenseless encounter with the cosmic forces without distraction and head-on, how much more should we do the same under our own modalities? If we allow this sacred season of Lent to go by as though it were just another moment, we will miss that very insurance policy which we need to pay up. It's the medicine given to us by our Holy Mother the Church from experience of what mankind needs. Time is passing, and it's passing more quickly for us than for others. I mean, in the Western world of 2016. I will make another parenthesis. I heard this recently from someone who knows about things. It has been analyzed that in practice, the day of very many men in civilized society follows this pattern. Listen and apply it to yourself. A working man awakes just in time to get to work, therefore no intimacy with the Lord before work. Zoom to the essential. What happens? Very often he will switch on the computer for his work at 9 a.m. or even before. Okay, it's his work. He is more or less, except for the coffee break, in this mode of engagement with the important issues coming from the computer until the midday break for work. However, he may have had a slight pause for coffee, in which he will have opened up his mobile phone to catch up on all the messages, therefore another screen. At the end of the morning, he will go to have a bite to eat. He will also open up fairly quickly his smartphone and catch up on the essential, also through a screen. He will come back to his work, and probably the computer will not have been put off anyway, so he'll get back to where he left off. There may be a tea break at 4. He'll catch up on the messages on his mobile. And on he will go until 5, unless he's doing overtime, in which he may go on to 6 or half 6. He'll get home, having got through a traffic queue, probably listening to the news and what might go with it on the way. He will get home, have a quick bite to eat, and then relax. How? He will chill out by watching a box. So the free time also will be probably about 2 hours, maybe even more, if it's interesting, 3 perhaps, on a screen. It'll be time for bed, and when he's in bed, he'll catch up on all the urgent messages which he didn't really have time to catch on properly on the day, also on a screen. The pattern repeats itself. 5 working days, perhaps even 6 if he's a busy man. Now, multiply that by a year. Multiply it by a decade. Multiply it by professional life. What have we? We're getting always closer to the tomb. All these are being totted up. Okay, eventually he dies. It happens, actually. You wouldn't be at all thinking about it while these working days are passing by. But the essence is yet to come. He dies. And would you believe it? Time is no longer quite such a rush against the clock. And indeed, there's no mobile phone. He wakes up. And for the first time, he meets this undistracted desert of time hitting him head on. All the hurried moments come back, and he sees them all, one by one. And he notices one pattern emerging. I was a screen gazer. Translate. Where do you fit in? What proportion is going into a screen? And if you don't believe me, what will you do as soon as you get home tonight? My friends, I want to propose to you another model. This screen gazing has made us also what is out there. By a process of huge osmosis and erosion, we believe what others believe, and we are easily led on. Notice how quickly and easily Ireland was coaxed into voting for what was correct last time round. The norm was easily presented to us. Well, there's a reason for it. Very few civilized people know the joys of reading. People can't bear just the dull sight of a page. It does not excite, it does not titillate, but it also doesn't nourish. What I mean is, they're being nourished by satanic fumes, and the problem is this: God can't get through this smokescreen, but Satan can. So, what's happening? This communication given to all is hugely orchestrated by something sinister. The problem is this. We on this earth are what we take in. Any mothers will tell you the importance of the diet. Any spiritual father will tell you the importance of the spiritual diet. Things are mediated. The waves of the air carry grace or ungrace, truth or falsehood, angelic power or satanic power. So does a book. Now, in practice, what is happening over the Catholic world is this. Confusion is entering in because truth is no longer known. Benedict XVI knew this and wanted all Catholics to have at least this compendium of the Catechism in their home, and for it to be used, because he knew that in practice the huge Catechism in its entirety would put off the average man, whereas this will not. It's manageable, and it gives us the essence of our faith. People out there cannot argue their faith because they do not know it. They repeat what they're meant to repeat. I was talking to a person recently who had been looking at what actually had happened in Ireland since the generation of those who would have been our grandparents. Basically, Ireland was hugely grace-filled until one point began to change fairly quickly, but not immediately, everything. It was the introduction of one thing into the average Irish home. It was the television. Now, people didn't realize immediately the potential of that instrument. Although in the early stages there was nothing hugely awful on Irish television, it was there. And it was going to be the stage later on to be used. Now, when it got in, the calm, unhurried sound of silence in rural Ireland was actually no longer there in the hearth. It was habituating people to having words all the time in the air, and words also from another culture, because American stuff was coming through from early stages, because the language was in common and there was more money in America to produce good films. Therefore, the first thing that became a difficulty was the rosary. It was very difficult to put that instrument off, even in early stages. It was to become the norm of any home. But then, what happened was this. Bit by bit, because people had been used to it by then, it was no longer felt to be the big change that it was to be when, hugely speaking, it was fairly easy, not in a dramatic way, but bit by little bit, to bring in another norm, an anti-Catholic norm, heard so much that this became the norm. And it's the norm which is out there. Do you see what a huge pulpit of evangelization from Satan this box is? But it's worse now, because with it we've also got all the other stuff as well. So do you see unless we make a conscious choice, what we're doing to our soul. There is no more space. We are bombarded by words, words, words. And they're bad words, satanic words, preached indirectly by sinister forces. I conclude. In Rome, I did a module on social communications. It was the mid-90s, and things weren't quite so bad. But it was indicated to us the power that we have to fight. All the great saints of modern times, like Maximilian Kolbe, have known about it and have been powerful in their domain. We need to fight with the arms that are fighting us. Get in there and fight. And we don't have to leave it also to our average born-again American tele-preachers. We must do it ourselves. But first we must know our truth and be serene in its possession. For truth is bigger than those who speak. It is calm in its own self-possession, and that calm is the most convincing sermon. Know it and calmly lean upon it, for you are on the winning side.
Media means mediating meaning from afar and moving many minds without a word. When moving on a leaf or from a star suspended in the air, where sounds are heard by metal ears, moved by strange wavicles of patterns, sent to tremble something deep in many breasts unseen. These particles of naught at night a mighty vigil keep, for gazing at a tabernacle new, adorers watch and wait, and there is seen not charged ions coming into view, but all of man and more upon a screen that holds a mesmered eye with other eyes agog upon a current in the sky.